she really took Christian music out of a little niche market and made it more mainstream.
But her venture into pop music caused controversy.
She caught a lot of grief for making a pop record after spending so many years in making Christian music.
The journey that she made from Christian into pop music was incredible, unbelievable, and almost impossible.
Off stage, Amy suffered as she faced the end of a 17-year marriage.
You have no idea the pain that she's been through or what she's been through, and it's been hard on everybody.
I just felt like I was really doing the unspeakable, and at the same time feeling like I was coming back to life.
A new marriage to country star Vince Gill and a new baby have brought Amy to the happiest place she has known.
If you ever meet Amy, you're always taken by her beauty. She's a really great person to be around.
Her music has broken sales records and stereotypes, but Amy Grant still struggles with the success and fame that have come her way.
I always believed in the experience of what music could bring to me singing and to people listening. But it's never really been about the famous part.
She's been called a preacher and a pop star, but the only thing she's ever cared about is singing the truth about faith, life, and herself. This is Lifetime's intimate portrait of Amy Grant. Lifetime's Intimate Portrait, hosted by Meredith Vieira.
Question: what happens when two country music superstars meet and fall in love? Well, if they happen to be Amy Grant and Vince Gill, you get a picture-perfect wedding, a whole lot of happy kids, and some of the most beautiful duets you'll ever hear. So this week on our series, Married to a Star, we celebrate Amy and Vince. They were criticized for their decision to be together, but they were true to their love. They figured out how to raise a family under the glare of not one, but two spotlights. And as you're about to find out, staying true to herself and her beliefs is what this remarkable singer's life is all about. This is her story, her words.
Amy Grant is the most successful contemporary Christian recording artist ever. But religion was never all that she wanted to sing about.
What's so balanced about a human being is that they are spirit and soul and body, all those things. And to only engage a conversation about your spiritual life, after a while, starts to feel like a squeaky wheel.
But no Christian singer had ever crossed over into mainstream music. And when Amy wanted to, there was resistance on both sides. First, when her religious music began playing on pop stations.
I think there was less resistance on the secular side as there was on the Christian side. I remember when she did a show in Detroit, she got a dozen roses handed to her, and in there was a note, and you opened the note, and it says, "Turn back now before it's too late."
There was controversy again when she began singing pop songs.
A lot of people are like going, "Man, I think you've crossed the line here. You just can't do this."
Amy's strength to weather the controversy and remain true to herself began in her childhood. She was born in 1960 and grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, the youngest of 4 daughters to Dr. Burton Grant, a radiologist, and his wife, Gloria. The Grants were a church-going family, and Amy went often with her parents and sisters, Kathy, Mimi, and Carol.
We went to church every Sunday morning, every Sunday night, every Wednesday night.
And like many children, Amy was happy to have the occasional reprieve.
I remember it was the rare Sunday afternoon that Mom would come out and she'd say, "You know, your father's a little bit tired. I don't think we're going to go to church tonight." And I'd think, "Oh, there is a God. Thank you. I can stay home and play."
The one thing about church that Amy does remember from her childhood was the music.
I don't remember any sermon that I heard as a child, but we sang the same hymns over and over again, and that's really, I'm sure, what shaped my theology.
We'd sing around our table, our breakfast table, and we'd sing church songs.
We'll just be in the kitchen and somebody will start a hymn. Or, "Can you name this hymn?"
During her young childhood, Amy attended a Christian school, but when she was about 10 years old, her parents put her in a prestigious private girls' school called Harpeth Hall.
We were in uniforms, all girls. Everybody had greasy hair, no makeup. Nobody cared.
She liked going and not feeling like she had to put on makeup, not have to wash her hair for 6 days, which she's famous for.
As unappealing as that sounds, it's very freeing. And you made friends on the basis of people you had things in common with. It was just a great environment to be yourself and to not be afraid to try new things.
It was at Harpeth Hall that Amy took her first songwriting class and began to play the guitar. And though she loved to sing, music was still just a hobby for Amy.
You know, I went to school with girls that sang a lot better than I did, but I just loved being a part of music.
Amy's interest in music began to grow more when she was about 14 years old and started attending a new church with her sisters. Unlike the traditional congregation she had grown up in, Belmont Church on Music Row in Nashville was celebrating the free spirit of the early 1970s with song.
It was just a great church for young people with a lot of music. It really influenced Amy.
Everybody was, you know, blue jeans, barefoot. People had flowers in their hair, and they sat up in the windowsills, and you're just picking your way through the crowd. You couldn't even see an aisle, and everybody's got their arms around each other and singing songs.
And all of a sudden you've got this event happening in Nashville that is a wonderful, spiritual, enlightening time that's happening right down there on Music Row.
I remember a prostitute coming in and giving her testimony, and she said, "Well, preacher, I take my clothes off for a living. Can I go to this church?" And he said, "Ma'am, you give your heart to Jesus. He'll tell you what you can and can't do. That's not my call. Of course you're welcome here."
It was then, in her early teens, while worshiping and singing at Belmont Church, that Amy had her own spiritual awakening.
It's very possible to grow up in church, and it's really just a cultural experience. And we all have cultural experiences, and some of them are religious and some are not. I had read this book on my bedside table, the Bible, for years and years, and the connect was that all of a sudden I went, I believe.
Amy began writing songs to express her newfound faith and sharing the songs with her youth group at Belmont Church.
I think the reason I wrote songs about my faith was I was just trying to round out the repertoire of life. And I had fabulous falling in love songs, fabulous celebrating life songs, or cry your heart out kind of stuff. But nobody was writing songs about faith.
I just remember her always wanting to write songs. I remember particularly going to the beach. I was 16, she was 15, and she took her guitar and kept saying, let's write a song, let's write a song. And I kept saying, let's go find boys, you're such a nerd.
When Amy told her mother that she and a friend were going to sing for their classmates at Harpeth Hall, Mrs. Grant decided she should hear the songs before her daughter performed at school.
I said, "Would you like to sing them for Daddy and me first?" And she said, "Yeah." Well, she came downstairs with the guitar, and we sat in the library, and she played and sang some of these, and I sat there with just tears.
In 1975, Amy was 15 years old, a teenager in high school, singing songs for her schoolmates and church group. She had no designs on a career in music.
I wasn't one of those kids that ever, you know, had the toilet plunger that was the pretend microphone, and I stood on the laundry basket or sang into my hairbrush. I never did that.
It wasn't even Amy, but a friend from Belmont Church, Brown Bannister, who had the idea to make a tape of Amy's songs.
I said, you know, maybe we need to just go in and just put some songs down for your mom and dad. So we went to Belmont College. We went in and used their studio and just put down a really rough tape of those songs.
I think there was one copy, maybe two, and I gave it to my mom and dad. And, you know, I'd be upstairs doing something, and they'd have friends over, and I'd hear that tape, and I'd think, oh gosh, they've got another captive. They've locked them in the sitting here in there playing that tape. Those poor people. That's how I felt about it.
Next, Amy gets a phone call that changes her life.
I got grounded for the phone call. I mean, it's just, you know, I was a kid.
And later, Amy's crossover into pop music causes a backlash.
What is she doing, you know, being all cute dancing around with some guy in a Christian video?